Look at Grandpa there, what? You lost Halloween and showed up late? That was the first thing he said, loud enough for the entire room to freeze. The biker's words hung in the air like a guillotine blade, sharp and unforgiving. The old man in the faded uniform, a real veteran, decades of medals pinned to his chest, stood straight but unmoving. His eyes were calm, haunted, hollow, and everyone could feel that tension, electric, raw. You could hear a pin drop. The smell of stale beer and cigarette smoke in the bar seemed to shrink away, replaced by the brittle crack of silence. The biker sneered and leaned in, fingers tapping on his glass, waiting for laughter. I was there. I saw the disrespect that didn't belong. No, man, the biker snarled, voice dripping mockery. You look like you're auditioning for a bad war movie. Real heroes don't stroll in on walker wheels and memories. He laughed, a growl of contempt meant for fear. That laugh was the spark. But before the room could choke on awkwardness, before anyone could muster a cheer or a warning, the door slammed open. The jukebox sputtered. The overhead lights flickered. And in walked three men. Silent, imposing, harsh angles, stern faces, and an air of professional calm that demanded respect even from sinners. As they stepped forward, the biker's grin faltered. His fingers stilled. The bar seemed to hold its breath. And when the men reached the veterans' table, you could see it in the biker's eyes, confusion, maybe dread. One of them, tall, carrying himself like he carried lives on his shoulders, nodded respectfully to the veteran. He placed a firm hand on the veteran's shoulder. The biker's chest rose and fell rapidly, like a startled deer caught in headlights. Suddenly, the biker looked small, ridiculously small. That's when the veteran spoke. Not proud, not loud, just a whisper, but one that filled the room. You don't know what you're mocking, son. And with that, everything changed. He was once a man she'd wrapped a blanket around in a dark Afghan foxhole. He was the kid who ran through deserts when the sun cracked the sand like dry bone. He was the one who many nights stared at a picture of his daughter's birthday party, balanced on a dusty crate in some outpost, hoping his next step wouldn't be his last. In his old uniform, faded, worn. Real, pain, loss, grit sewn into the seams. As those three stepped behind him, their presence said what the biker's words couldn't honor. Brotherhood, silent resolve. They didn't speak, didn't need to. Their eyes said, "We know." Those were the eyes of a team that had one another's backs. Always. The biker stood, stammering, trying to recapture his bravado. I didn't come on, man. It was a joke." The veteran's gaze didn't shift, but his silence weighed more than any slap could. The biker's face drained of color. A bead of sweat slid down his temple. Then one of the three stepped forward. The room tensed. He didn't raise a fist. He didn't yell. He just spoke softly, but with enough cold clarity to freeze the biker's mocking grin for good. "He fought for guys like you," he said, "so you could hide behind jokes." That wasn't a threat. That wasn't bravado. That was truth. And in that truth, the biker saw something bigger than him. Something he couldn't mock, couldn't laugh off. Real sacrifice, real duty, real heart. He dropped his head. Didn't leave. Couldn't. The silence stretched until the biker's chair scraped against the floor. Then he sat back down. Eyes fixed on the table. His beer untouched. No laughter, no sneers. Nothing but haunted quiet. The veteran looked at those three men uniformed in black tactical gear, patches muted. He nodded once. Brief. A brother-to-brother nod that spoke of shared burdens, midnight calls, littered foxholes, and whispered prayers. Then he turned to look at every person in the room. The biker, the bartender, everyone. "You didn't see a broken old man," he said slowly. "You saw what I am and what I was willing to pay, so you don't have to." His voice cracked a crack older than him but still strong. It traveled through the room and landed in their hearts. The biker's gaze flickered up, met the veteran's eyes. Then he looked at the three behind him, then down at his glass, his knuckles white around the cold bottle. He stood up slowly. The whole bar watched. It was like everyone exhaled at once. I'm sorry," the biker stammered. Not loud, not proud, but real. The veteran nodded. The three behind him stepped aside. Not threats, just respect. The biker placed a crumpled 20 on the table, the old man's drink left untouched beside it. He didn't look back. He walked out, shoulders hunched, head bowed. Silence settled over the bar after the door closed. Like an old wound scabbing over, the veteran looked at his silent drink. Then he reached out with trembling fingers and brushed the cold glass. Didn't drink. Didn't move. Just touched. One of the three leaned close, quietly. "Sir, we've got your tab." The veteran nodded. Didn't speak, but his shoulders dropped. The tension melted. You could see something in his eyes, pain, yes, but also relief. Pride. Pain plus pride. In that dusty old bar, in that quiet moment, justice didn't need a gun. It needed memory, respect, truth. Later, when the biker was gone, people came back to their drinks. The jukebox restarted. Laughter sputtered. The neon lights hummed. But something had shifted. Something heavier than beer. Stronger than jokes. A lesson, not taught, lived. One of the men in black stood, shoulders back, face set. He looked at the veteran, then nodded. Behind him, his teammates nodded. No words, just solidarity, brotherhood. And the old veteran, he quietly rose. Shoes creaked. He placed the crumpled 20 closer to his empty glass. Then he turned, stepped out into the night. Behind him, three shadows followed close. Not guards, just brothers. In that moment, walking into the cold night air, I saw something raw. Dignity. Not loud, but fierce. Not flashy, but unbreakable. You want to judge a man by his looks, his age, his uniform, his hunchback fine. But you better not mock what holds him together. Because sometimes, behind the joke, stands someone who can make you realize your own shame in the harshest way. And sometimes, that someone is silent, deadly calm. A brother who'll remind you what respect really costs. Before we end this video, pause for a second. What emotion are you feeling right now? Type it in the comments and don't forget to mention your city or country. We love seeing where our family around the world is watching from. Hit like, share, and subscribe for more.